Today, something occurred to me. In fact, it relates to what happened towards the end of this week, and that was the conviction for Steve Lawrence's murder. And when I looked at the news, and there was a special panorama program about the scientific evidence that was presented to convict his murderers, something occurred to me. And I thought I'll share it with you because no doubt I will forget it. And that is this. You see, in Islam, if there is a murder or a killing, the most stringent or severe or strict punishment is meted out if there are witnesses, if there are eyewitnesses to that incident. It is only then that you say that it has been conclusively proved that this man killed this one, so what we are going to do is going to punish this one. This is not circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is, you see a man coming out of a house, you go in, you see that there is another man lying there on the floor dead, and you assume that the man who came out of the house actually committed the murder or did the killing. This may not be so. He may be like you, who's gone in, seen a dead body and run away. Now, if we look at the evidence that was presented, there are no eyewitnesses. There's no one saying that we saw these lads kill this young boy. And yet everyone throughout the country, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, is asking for the most severe and severe punishment to be meted out to these people. But what surprises me is, you see, that if you take the traditional Islamic view, as espoused by our brothers who are not Ahmadis, then the evidence is merely circumstantial. It is not conclusive, it's not eyewitness. Because traditional Islamic teaching is that there has to be an eyewitness. Someone must see that with their own eyes. Now, so according to this theory, these people should perhaps even have gone free, which would be a strange thing to say, which is a strange thing to say. Because the response will be, well, there is conclusive DNA scientific evidence that a drop of blood was found on one of the guy's shirts. How did it get there? And because of this lack of explanation, because of this conclusive DNA evidence of finding that drop of blood on this man's jacket or sweater or whatever it was, he was guilty. Now, what surprises me is that when the same thing is said about sighting the moon, there is an uproar. Oh, we are told we must see the moon physically with our own eyes. Well, here we are told that we must actually see a killing with our own eyes before we go around demanding and meting out the most stringent punishments or something. Why different standards? Will Muslims argue that these men should have gone free? They shouldn't have been convicted of this murder, this heinous crime that they committed, because no one saw it. Because that is the conclusion. That is the conclusion. If in one sphere it is said, you see the moon and you celebrate Eid. You see the moon, you start fasting, you see the moon, you celebrate Eid. And you stick to that and you say, well, this must happen. Without this we cannot start Ramadan, we cannot celebrate Eid. Then why is it wrong to stick to the same principle in another situation? Murder has to be witnessed for the most stringent punishment, whatever scientific evidence, just like it said, whatever scientific evidence there is, that moon has appeared, has been sounded, we don't care, we have to be able to see it or complete 30 days. Now why can't you say the same thing about killing? And indeed, any crime where an eyewitness is required for the most severe and stringent punishments. The question is not about being able to see with your own eyes. The question is about certainty. And this is what is forgotten. At the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most certain method of determining when the new moon had appeared was to see it with your own eyes. There was no other way. At the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to conclusively prove that someone had killed, had murdered another person, was to actually see them doing it. Now, no one would argue that if you have other means by which you can be certain that A killed B, you should use them. So if that's the case, why, to establish certainty, why can't we do the same thing with the sighting of the moon? And avoid all these arguments and debates and letters to the newspapers and phone calls to the radio stations that happen every Ramadan and every Eid. All that energy could be spent in a better way for a better cause. So let us hope that we learn a lesson from these things and learn to use scientific development and advance in techniques for the benefit of Islam. I'm going away now for a few weeks, so you will have other people who will take over from me, and I will see you when I return in February. In the meantime, may Allah keep you safe and sound. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.